Welcome to the latest Fowler Welch Industry Insight, where we ask experts about trends and issues affecting retail, food production and logistics.
There's been a whole range of changes which are very different depending on whether you're talking about the ambient sector or the chill sector. But I think the overriding thing is volatility and lack of predictability. So if I just expand on those bits, if you take the ambient market, we've all become far more sophisticated as buyers. So we're all, when we go shopping, thinking much more about what we do. And if you're in the ambient market, what you tend to find is your ability to predict your own volumes is actually largely driven by what's happening in terms of promotions of your direct competitors. So you and I might go shopping and know we need some dishwasher tablets. And an awful lot of us will buy the product that's actually on promotion. As a result, if you're supplying the guys who are on promotion, you may have some knowledge and be forewarned that you're going to get this push of volume through. But if you're supplying the competitor, your volume may suddenly plummet with no warning at all because you haven't got that information as to what's going on. So that's a real dynamic in the ambient market, this flexibility and volatility driven by promotion. In terms of chill and the competitiveness of the market, there's been an awful lot of churn in terms of the chill products tend to be own label. So you've not got branded products and therefore you're more often than not seeing change of supply as the retailers have tried to push their prices down, try to buy more efficiently. You've seen a lot of volatility in the marketplace as to who's supplying which products to which retailers. And therefore, again, that leads to a flux in terms of who's doing more. There's two big ones that spring to mind. The first was our investment in Haywood, which is a large ambient shed near Manchester, 500,000 square foot, very flexible building. We're able to deal with a whole range of products in there in a whole range of ways. We've developed a co-packing operation there as well, so we can reconfigure product for customers. So that's one big investment. And the second is ISS, which is a packing operation that we've formed a joint venture with one of our customers. And we're now packing somewhere in the region this year, we'll pack 7 million cases of fresh produce. So that's being imported into the UK. We're packing it in Kent. We're packing it on the same site as the site where we do the distribution. So it's coming straight out of the packing house into the warehouse, picked and then distributed. And again, coming back to the flexibility comment, that's given us real flexibility in terms of our ability to respond because we don't have to go out and fetch the product and bring it back in. It's now all under one roof, and that's the roof where we do our distribution from. So that's a real example of investment in the business. And answering our customers' needs in terms of flexibility, managing volatility, and also reducing cost because we've been able to simplify the supply chain for them. If I talk about Tesco, there's two specific things that spring to mind there. Before I joined, we'd developed an operation in the northeast where we were trunking volume up to our depot in Washington. With Tesco, we'd developed this scenario of trunking up on double decks to serve the smaller stores that didn't need a full trailer's worth of gear each day. And so we now trunk up many double decks a day up to Washington. We break that down into several smaller vehicles from rigids through to urban arctics, and then we deliver to the stores in the northeast on behalf of Tesco. And that really saved them some genuine money. So we replicated that in the southwest. And we got the nod to do it, and 13 weeks later, we were doing it. So in 13 weeks, we'd found a site in Newton Abbot, and we'd replicated that model, trunking down from Avonmouth and Magor, several trunks a day on double decks, breaking the loads down, and then delivering on rigids through Devon and Cornwall on behalf of Tesco. So that was a great example of adding value to our major customer. Another example with Tesco is the joint venture, ISS. We formed that joint venture with one of our customers, DPS, and we now provide a packing service within our own facility in Kent that simplified the supply chain, has meant that Tesco are now able to do QA checks of product leaving the depot rather than having to do that at multiple depots around the country. So when stuff leaves us, it's QA checked and ready to be received at the RDC. It's much simplified the supply chain. We're not collecting from multiple places around Kent, bringing it into our site and then distributing. An awful lot of that volume is now starting in our site. So that's really added a huge amount of value to Tesco, both from a service point of view. We've increased the service KPIs significantly for them on the products that are going through there, as well as reducing the cost. So it's been a real success. Tulip, major meat manufacturer that we've worked with for many, many years. Very, very proud that a couple of years ago we extended our relationship with them significantly, and we secured a major piece of work with them to deliver raw meat and what they call work in progress around the country between abattoirs and various production facilities, both within the Tulip network of manufacturing locations, but also other people that they sell that product to. So that was a great development for us with Tulip. The other thing we've done with Tulip over the last 5 years is we've started doing their ambient distribution, and we do that through our Hayward site, and we've developed two things on the back of that. The first is a less than load service for the non-major retailers coming out of Hayward. So we're now delivering to a multitude of wholesalers and smaller retailers coming out of our Hayward site, and we've added Kerry Foods to that as well, who are another ambient supplier who have a similar drop profile. The other thing we did for Tulip as well, they had a problem with their cans. Their cans were coming through in one pack format, and they needed the cans in a different pack format. They had a choice. They could either do that back in Denmark or they could do that in the UK, and we were able to come up with a solution for them in Hayward. So we're now doing that on site in Manchester as opposed to the stuff being shuffled around various areas. So again, saving them real money, listening to their problem and providing a solution. I think there's much speculation as to what's going to happen in terms of the retail market, and all the time people are speculating about the big four in particular. It's not for me to speculate on that. I'm not an expert. There are people far better placed than I am to do that. Do I think the market share that's currently spread across the top 7 or 8 retailers in the UK now will be the same in 5 years' time? No, I think it'll be significantly different. How that pans out, time will tell. I personally think that the rate of growth on home delivery will actually slow down, but it's also very much a key part and it's there to stay. So I think the key challenge for all of us over the next 5 years will be maintaining flexibility, being agile, being able to respond to how those market changes may affect us and our customers, and recognising that our customers who are manufacturers and packers and producers as opposed to the retailers, their wills are going to change as a result of that change in the retail market. We have to be able to respond to that. We have to be able to listen. We need to understand their problems and the challenges that's creating and work with them to try and find solutions. We've got to be open to that. And that's one of the key things over the next 5 years, I think. Being open, listening, trying to find common ground, trying to find solutions. Exactly what that's going to look like, I don't think any of us can really forecast. I'd like us to have grown, but most importantly, I'd like us to grow whilst retaining all the things that we're currently great at. I don't want our culture to change. Our culture is fantastic. I want us to continue to listen to our customers and to continue to be at the forefront of some of the things that we currently are very much at the forefront of. Specifically, what we do in terms of investment in fleet and the environment and trying to work on our CO2 impact, that's something I'd like us to continue through for the next 5 years. In terms of our presence, I'd like us to spread our geographical presence, certainly with another site, and for us to just gradually, organically grow the business, but to do that through delighting our customers, through providing them solutions that they want, through listening to them, through giving them solutions that add value to their business, whether that be a quality in service, whether it be a cost or a balance of the two. So just more of the same. There's a recognition that things go wrong. Things in the food supply chain go wrong. Unexpected orders come through, promotions suddenly hit, the weather can impact you, roads impact you. because we do an awful lot of fresh produce. If you have a bad crop, that can impact you. If you have a good crop, that can impact you. If you're trying to get carrots out of the ground and it's frozen, it's more difficult than if it's not. So all of those things have meant that the teams in the business have grown up understanding the need to be flexible on behalf of customers. And it's that flexibility and willingness to find an answer that really is at the heart of the culture. How do we get through this with you? How do we find you a solution that will resolve your issue today, whatever that issue is? I think the starting point for the business for me when I joined was to actually understand it and make sure I understood what made the business great. And there was an awful lot that was great and is right about the business. It's been successful for many, many years. When I'd been here around about 3 to 6 months, I looked at the stability of the customer base, and our top 10 customers at that stage had grown by an average of 28% over the previous 2 years. So that indicated there was an awful lot that was right. So it wasn't about trying to revolutionise the business, it was trying to crystallise and keep the bits that were good. And at the heart of that was a work ethic and a commitment from people throughout the business that was just infectious and you couldn't help but get engaged with. So it wasn't really a question of coming in with a big strategy and wanting to change the world, but trying to understand what made the business great and then try to build on that. At the time, I think Fowler Welch was perhaps slightly behind some of its competitors in terms of certainly recognising itself in terms of what it was good at. So part of the strategy in the first period was to try and help the business realise how good it was and what it was good at. And again, hold on to that culture, hold on to the work ethic, the commitment, the belief in the business that ran right through the business. And at the heart of that was a real understanding and want to satisfy our customers all the time, from drivers right the way through. Everyone wanted to work for the customer. So it was a very easy thing to inherit. The thing to do, though, was to try to identify how we could move the business forwards whilst retaining what was really a great asset, which is the people and the culture. It was very tough at that time. The retailers were trying to be everybody's friend. Everyone was very much feeling the impacts of the recession, and the retailers in particular were trying to support all of us as consumers, and were trying to make sure that we didn't feel the impact. They were all trying to maintain their market share, and as a result, it was a very competitive environment. Anyone in the food retail supply chain had real pressures in terms of trying to increase costs, whilst the retailers were trying to keep the cost of products as low as possible. So it was tough. One of the big areas initially was around fleet and the environment. The two go hand in hand. We were very, very good at sweating the asset, so we were very good at using the asset multiple times. But what we weren't necessarily as good at was making sure we're using the asset efficiently. So one of the very first things we did was implement telematics across the whole fleet, enabling us to measure the performance of our drivers and our fleet across the board. And as a result of that, we've seen our MPG go up by 10% over the last 5 years. So that's an example of we weren't bad, but actually by just broadening our skills and concentrating on some different areas, we could really move the business forwards.